Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Conscious Body Conversations. I'm Jessie Lucas of Embodied Movement Training. I'm having so much fun with these conversations. It is my hope that they start to kind of uncover and peel through the layers some of these, what may have been nuanced pieces of health and wellness that are really, truly profound and powerful. And what I'm finding through talking to my peers is they have the quality of ease and accessibility. So today you are going to hear from dance and movement educator, somatic dance and movement educator, Teresa D'Angelo of Live, Love, Move, which that speaks so sweetly to me. If you know anything about my work, it is all about using movement to get to those underlying layers of emotional and mental health, the place where you can love being in your body, the place where you can really live in your body. So this is going to be sweet. She has an interesting perspective on the expressive quality of movement and particularly dance. So Teresa, I'm excited to have this conversation with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with expressive movement.
Sure. And it's so beautiful to be here with you, Jessie, through our conversations, and the work that you do with embodied movement is so close to my heart. So thank you so much for inviting me. I'm Teresa D'Angelo, as you mentioned, and my journey with dance started in 2005. Just very briefly, I became very ill. An autoimmune illness hit me out of the blue, and it was through that time that one of my doctors said, "What kind of movement do you like to do? Because you have to move to keep your joints healthy." And I said, "Well, I used to love to dance when I was younger. I took dance classes." And he said, "Okay, well, there's this thing called NIA you may be interested in." And NIA, N-I-A, changed my life. From 2005 until now, I went to my first class, and I was able to let go of my body when the teacher said, "Do it your way." And that, I don't know, whatever I was holding at the time, all this emotion and stress and anger and sadness about being so sick and not being able to move, it just kind of gave me a waterfall of, oh, I can do this. Yeah. So ever since then, I've been teaching training in NIA for 15 years. And it's what I put together now, my own kind of program for people with chronic pain. And NIA is a big part of that program.
Let me get this right. Your doctor told you about NIA?
My naturopathic doctor.
Okay, there it is. I'm starting. So I have a couple questions, and I want you to go a little further into some of those parts of it. But one of the things I'm finding, and my hope is that these conversations contribute to, is kind of the blending, the integration of like your approach to your wellness, whether it is proactive, you're doing things to kind of keep yourself as good as you can for as long as you can, or reactive. You had pain, you had an issue that you were looking to find a solution to, that it doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't have to be this whole, Western medical approach, and it doesn't have to be this whole woo-woo approach. And I love when those worlds meet, when kind of medicine meets movement, and that has been one of the places that I really, I think that's where my work sits. That's where my professional practice sits. So I love hearing little stories about that. So one of the phrases you said, move your way. Now, I took ballet when I was a kid, and there wasn't move your way, there was move this way. And I think a lot of the ways we're taught to move, whether it's in a movement practice or just, sit still in class or be this way in your home, whatever those ingrained things are, we aren't really allowed to move our way. And I can only imagine that. I love that visual, that waterfall, that, I could feel that when you said that. what if we were all asked to move our way? Can you tease a little more into that?
I would love to. I love your question. Everyone's body is so different. There's not a one size fits all movement practice for everybody. And being able to do something our own way means that organic type of movement. And I'll get a little bit more into that. A lot of the movement that I've grown up doing, I was a ballet dancer as well, very linear, very structured. It has to be a certain way. And as I'm teaching people, and when I learned myself that, oh, I don't have to do it like the teacher's doing it. I can do it in my own body. If my hands are down here instead of up here, that's okay, because that's as far as they go right now. And that's the key of being able to soften that thinking around it has to be a certain way. And it's really about how your body, my body feels doing the movement that's so important.
So tie that into the quality of expressive, because I can only imagine a lot of people, if you're being given instructions, the direct response is follow the instructions. I think a lot of folks aren't going to have that little inspiration that you did of like, oh, they're telling me to do it this way, but I can do it this way. And not only that, but then to take that other step to notice like, oh, how did that feel? That level of self-inquiry. I think there's a huge connection between opening up a pocket of awareness, filling that pocket with some sort of self-inquiry. How does that feel? And being able to kind of answer that, fill in those blanks, and then turn that around into something expressive, to take that inquiry that gave you a new awareness, a new feeling, and turn that into something kinesthetic. What happens in that process? I'm fascinated.
Magic happens. It really does, because our body, as you know, Jesse, holds trauma in our tissues over years. Our experiences are held in our bodies. And once we express maybe in a way that we're not used to expressing, all of a sudden that can be released. If I'm carrying anything in my shoulders over years and suddenly I'm able to move my shoulders differently, I mean, I've cried in classes, I've laughed, the emotion comes out because it's in our body. Our emotion isn't here, it's here, the brain and the body. And just as an example, maybe somebody watching could just start to move their fingers right now. We're talking about expressiveness, right? So I can say, okay, move your fingers, and we're moving our fingers. What do you notice? Maybe you notice your joints, your fingernails, your wrists. Now let's take that into sculpting something. Imagine that you're sculpting an image. Or you're painting. You're painting an image, and look at the color that you're using. What are you painting? That takes it to a different sensation, and notice your whole body starts to react and move, and it's not just the hands anymore. It's more than that. And expressing through imagery what's in the moment, what's coming through our bodies. I love that because we can access so much more of ourselves in that way.
There's something very cool that happens, and this is one of the things that, if I were to say, I want everybody to understand one thing, this is probably what it would be. We're coming off this generation, I think I mentioned this in a few of the conversations, of mind over matter. Every change, the direction was that any change you want to make, kind of, just set your mind to it. Just set your mind to it, and then it will happen. Now, I'm not discounting that at all. minds are powerful forces. However, some of us have very stubborn minds that don't like to change, or based on past circumstances, especially ones with an emotional load, especially ones with a heavy emotional load like pain, like trauma, like fear, those neuro imprints can really stick. When you add this multidimensional sensory piece, that kinesthetic piece, it can bypass and influence those stuck neuro pathways and make change all of a sudden. I mean, when you said that, when you're doing that, we started with hands, I realized like it was up in my chest and my rib cage before I knew it, and things did feel different. That was so simple. And I think that's what I want people to understand from your work, is the simplicity of just do the movements. Just do the movements. And the other layers of change are kind of a chain reaction from that. I know in my yoga teaching education, or my practice as yoga, they just say, get on the mat. Just get on the mat. The rest will come. Just get on the mat. And so even just experiencing that little bit, I would say just move. And those other layers will come. I want to keep these conversations kind of short, digestible. Can you kind of bring it home for us? Is there one piece of how you work with expressive movement that you don't want our viewers to leave without? Can you bring home, something they can take away, something that they can really land with? And then I know you have a sweet community on Facebook. We'll include the links to your website and everything else with this video. But tell us a little bit about where we can find more experiential stuff with you. Absolutely. So bring us home.
Okay, I'm going to bring you all home. So one of the modalities I teach is Ageless Grace. And speaking of the brain, it activates the 5 functions of the brain. And the key is, if you're home and you want to take away one thing today, put on music that you love, that's uplifting. And then play with your joints, moving your joints, your fingers, your wrists, your shoulders, your hips, your feet. And just play with the music, something that you really relate to. And I know that you're going to feel different after that 3 or 5 minutes of music. And we do so much more, with Ageless Grace especially. It's very joyful, very playful, but that's something so easy that we can all do every morning. Just wake up. One of my clients does that. She said, I just wake up and I start moving my joints.
That's so easy. I do that. Sometimes people think like, movement, that means I need an hour at the gym, or these days when not all of us have gyms that are open or accessible or feel comfortable going, then I need an hour long on, my workout bike or, whatever it is. I time my movement practices by songs. And that's what I would tell my clients too. Like, don't worry about a time. It doesn't have to be 60 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever. Like, how long do you want to move? Do you want to move for one song? Do you want to move for 2 songs? Like, and it's so much easier. So is that your Facebook community, Ageless Grace?
No, that's another modality that
Gotcha.
I teach, especially to people, I'd say over 50. But my Facebook group is Live, Love, Move Classes with Teresa. Teresa
Perfect.
without the H, by the way.
Teresa. Live, Love, Move Classes with Teresa. We will include the link with this video as well. Teresa, you and I speak the same language, and I am so grateful to collaborate with you, to do this with you. I can't wait. I'm sure there is more down the line that you will see coming from Teresa, and I know she does some great work helping get out of pain through movement. So go find her stuff, look at her website, get in her Facebook group, catch up with her here wherever you are viewing this. My work with embodied movement is really congruent with this. So if these conversations are ringing a bell, reach out to both of us, either one of us. If you work in a wellness space and it doesn't have a movement component, like therapy, nutrition, health coaching, that kind of thing, and you want to add a kinesthetic piece, please reach out to me. I have some really great offerings on that level to be able to teach you this kind of nuanced stuff so that your people can be helped at even deeper levels with embodied movement training. And that's the website, embodiedmovementtraining.com. Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode. Please tune into the next one. Teresa, my dear sweet sister in movement, thank you so much. I will see you soon.
Thank you so much.